I'd love to dive straight in, Jamie. Just before we kind of have a bit more of maybe a practical look at some of the features, could you just give us a bit of the context around the WizeHub? What is it? Why did we decide maybe to remake the whole thing? And how important is it to you and running your business, your accounting firm as a business? Love a bit of an overview there, if you can set the scene.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, a bit of background. So it sort of goes way back before I met Ed, when I've always loved computers and technology, even as a kid. So I think 1991, I got my first computer. People remember it back those days. I think the RAM was 2 megabytes. Look, essentially, as I started growing Sky, everyone knows that you have your cloud stack, all your different programs, and everything seemed to be everywhere. And then to give you a bit more context, not that I'm proud of it, and I still am, I think, to a degree, and it's quite funny, I was actually sort of like dyslexic. So everything had to be like really organized for me. Like step 1, step 2, I just really struggled learning until I got a grasp on how I had to learn. To give you some context, so about 10 years ago, I was introduced to SharePoint, which is a massive system in Microsoft, and it essentially had what you call an intranet. So I started playing around with the intranet, where it could be one centralized place to manage the entire firm. You might have, to run your own firm, you might have 20 different apps. Everyone knows what that's like. And I toyed with the idea of different menus, and I'd been into business coaching with Brad Sugars, who's the founder of Action Coach International. And if anyone's read his books, he talks about the business chassis. And so he talks about business goes through 4 or 5 stages where the leads come in, and from marketing it goes to sales and production and all that type of thing. So when I met Ed had this concept of the 7 divisions of a firm, and I was using the SharePoint, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I could take like Ed's knowledge from that, the 7 divisions, and apply it to my SharePoint site. And so we did that over the years. I kept developing the SharePoint site. So we've really probably had 3 prototypes of this. First of all, Tim, when I created it, and then secondly, the WizeHub version that firms would have seen. And it was quite clunky because everyone knows you had to open about 8 sheets and different things to get the Fab 5, the 5 most important key performance indicators that influence human behavior in terms of the performance section that you showed earlier. And then I think it was Brenton's idea, said, well, why don't we get a programmer to program this? And it's funny, Brenton said that because about 5 years ago, I actually had another industry figure from the accounting industry who was a programmer, and like he offered to create it. And I just said, nah, don't worry about it. It'll be too hard. Anyhow, Tim, that's how the WizeHub was born in that process. And then, yeah, it's about 2 years into development now that the WizeHub finally became real. And here we are today. So hopefully that gives everyone a bit of background, but I've been using it at Sky now and testing it and debugging it and for quite some time. I think the concept with the WizeHub, there really is a different level of thinking, because if you're going to work in your business and just focus like totally in it, then the WizeHub to a degree is irrelevant. But really sort of studied this, and what I've found is the WizeHub is really all about that quad 2. So if you understand how Ed always talks about quad 1 and quad 2, the WizeHub is a quad 2 tool. If you live in quad 1, you probably won't use it. But if you want to scale and you want to plan ahead and you want to get some freedom from your firm, as I have and Ed taught me, then the WizeHub tool is 100% a quad 2 tool. That's probably I've never said that before, but that's really what it is, Tim. It's a quad tool, and you can use the tool to scale and grow using the framework that we teach, so that ultimately you can treat your firm as a business that will run without you. It's really the key that you said at the start. It's that combination of people and processes and performance. And that's really the key. And if you can bring all those together, then 100% you will have a firm that will run without you. And it's those 3 things. That's why I was quite adamant to put that guy and girl on the front, because it's about we can have all the technology in the world, and there's all these conferences on technology that we've all been to. Yeah. But quite literally, they don't actually help unless you get people aligned with using them correctly, but for a result. And that's the performance, and that's the Fab 5. And so in my journey, I couldn't find anything that would give me the Fab 5. So hopefully that's a background.
No, that's awesome.